The man was on the verge of freezing to death, yet he stripped off all his clothes and curled up naked in the snow, shivering violently. He blew into his hands for warmth, but it was useless. Instead of putting his clothes back on, he stared at the plastic bag in his grip and made a painful choice. Pouring out the precious flour inside, he filled it with snow and clutched it to his chest, praying it would melt into drinkable water. By evening, the snow remained frozen, and his wet clothes were still soaked. Furious at his bad luck, he cursed himself for getting lost while skiing and falling into an icy lake. Just then, he spotted what looked like a warm house on the mountainside. For the first time in 2 days, hope flickered. To save his strength, he put on his damp clothes and curled up in a rocky crevice, vowing to climb toward the house in the morning. At dawn, he woke full of energy. The snow in his bag had melted, and miraculously, his phone and radio still worked. Encouraged, he began climbing toward the house, hidden in clouds. But after 3 days without food, his vision blurred. Near the summit, he rubbed his eyes in disbelief. The house was gone. It had been nothing but a hallucination from hypothermia. Crushed but unwilling to give up, he pressed on. That night, he stumbled into a cave and found a skeleton. Starving, he wished there was meat left, but wolves had stripped it clean. He pulled out his phone to check for a signal, but it shut off. The howls of wolves drew nearer. Grabbing his snowboard as a crutch, he walked all night until the pain in his leg forced him down. Rolling up his pants, he saw his sock soaked in blood and his calf swollen dark purple. If left longer, the sock would fuse with his skin. Gritting his teeth, he ripped the sock off, pain searing through his body. He tore away loose flesh, lifted it to his mouth, but gagged in disgust. Unable to eat it, he tucked it into his pocket. Suddenly, he heard a helicopter. He screamed for help, but it passed without noticing. Drained, he collapsed in despair. Hallucinations came. He thought of his mother and wondered how she would live without him. That thought kept him alive into the 8th day. Desperate to see his family again, he shoved the piece of flesh into his mouth. The taste made him retch, but he forced it down. He fixed his eyes on the steep slope ahead and decided to risk it all. Half kneeling, he crawled upward, checking his radio every few steps. At last, he reached the summit. Excited, he pulled out the radio. Still no signal. He dragged himself to the center of the peak and tried again. Nothing. The battery dropped to 4%. Defeated, he lay on his back, turned on the recorder, and began saying his final farewell to his family. As he closed his eyes, ready for the end, the radio finally picked up a signal. Moments later, a helicopter appeared in the sky above him.